I'm just thinking, what am I saying when I climb up? That's why that is clear.
Really, that's the last question. Why we are at this place and why you are climbing up here?
Yeah. It's also a matter of speaking English. I like this place, this spider thing, because it reminds me the weirdness in your head when you're just about having your coming out, those which goes like for years. Where do I belong? Where do I want to go? Will I go? Who wants? What does this society want from me? What does my parents want from me? What do I want from me? But then the whole emotional weirdness, I fall in love with girls. No, I don't fall in love with boys. Am I right? Am I not right? And this spider thing reminds me the whole weirdness and spiderness in my head. It's like a climbing up your life, exploring yourself, trying to find the right way, but not to fall. Stay somehow base, and then again trying to find the right way. Not to lose any family, not to lose maybe friends, but also your job, making decisions, diving again in the knowledge, nowhere, falling, and again trying to climb up. To become more clearness, to build up your own community, to look for a community who supports you where you feel you are not alone. At the end, maybe you just arrived, and then you have your base, and you can sit, and you can live. My name is Ipek. I'm known as DJ Ipek. I'm 42, Taurus. No, I'm not single. I had my coming out actually officially around 18, and since I was 9, 10, I knew I'm different than the majority of the girls around me, the majority of the society around me. And I was quite long looking actually, who am I? Where do I stand? What can I do? When I had my coming out, I decided I cannot be alone. There must be other lesbians from Turkey living in Germany, or other LGBTs actually from Turkey living in Germany. I have to find them. I had my coming out when I was around 18. And since I am a minority in Germany, and the society and around me also everyone said, no, there are no Turks, no, there are no gays or lesbian Turkish people in Germany. I was like, no, there must be, because the first impressions about LGBTQs I always had from Turkish movies, from Turkish singers like Bülent Ersoy and Zeki Müren, but also from books. So I thought actually being lesbian or gays is pretty Turkish thing. I didn't know any German lesbians and gays, but I felt myself very alone. I needed to speak the language. I needed to speak with other ones. How do you actually make it with your family? How do you deal with racism? How do you deal with the LGBT community in general? How do you deal with sexuality? And for me, when I decided, okay, now I want to live as a lesbian officially, I talked to my mother. And my mother said, well, I will not support you because you're a lesbian, but I will also not oppress you because you are a lesbian. But stand behind that. Stay behind that, and put your head up. So what I did, I went to every meeting where lesbians and gays, German lesbians and gays were having. I went there and said, hello, my name is Ipek, I'm 80 years old, and I want to found a Turkish lesbian group. Do you know any? Here is my address, here is my paper, please give it to people. So I went to almost to every German in Berlin, to every LGBT association, then hanged up papers, like ads, looking for, I want to found a Turkish lesbian group, please call me. During that time, we didn't have any internet. We didn't have any iPhones. We didn't have any WhatsApp or Facebook or email access. So it was, you had to do it very analog and very old school. Finally, suddenly, there were lesbians calling me and said, yes, here I am. Where are we going to meet? So we started to meet, started to talk a lot about what does it have to do being Turkish and being a lesbian. Does it affect me more special or not? The clearness was, since we are a minority and there's not much knowledge, that of course the Turkish immigrants or the immigrants from Turkey and Germany also heterogeneous. And that there are many prejudices from the German society towards Turks, but also that you feel yourself easily alone because you don't know many other immigrants with a Turkish or Muslim background. So we started up to meet up for a few years regularly. We were like dancing together, singing together, having heavy discussions together, political discussions also. Do we want to go out on the demonstrations and tell, hey, we are here Turkish lesbians, or are we just part of the big community? And many said, hey, I'm already enough dealing with the homophobia, sexism, heterosexism, racism. I don't want to go out and, you know, show also I'm a lesbian and get special attacked for that. Other ones said, well, if we want to raise up consciousness, then we have to be open and we have to be out and fight for our rights. I was more the one who wanted to be out, who wanted to fight for the rights, who wanted to raise up a consciousness. What I did is, after founding this group, I went to Turkey. I said, okay, in Turkey there must be lesbians, there must be gays. So in the name of the German Lesbian Council, Lesbenberatung, they hired me to write a booklet in Turkish and German. Anya is love in Ayşe, or Ayşe is in love in Anya in Turkish and German. And I collected already so many books from all over the world. I went with those books to Turkey, to Istanbul. I saw a cafe which looked very, you know, left-wing and alternative. I went inside. I said, hello, my name is Ipek. I'm from Germany, second generation. I'm a lesbian. Where can I find some Turkish lesbians? The woman looked at me and said, well, I don't know any, but this woman is smoking a pipe. Maybe she knows. Okay, I went to the woman who smokes a pipe. Said, hello, my name is Ipek. I'm from Germany. I'm a lesbian. I would like to meet other lesbians. Do you know any? She said, well, I don't know any, but go to this cafe which is called Sappho. Okay, I went to this cafe which is called Sappho. Hello, my name is Ipek. I'm from Germany. I'm a lesbian. Do you know any lesbians? No, I don't know any. And why is this cafe called Sappho then? She said, you have to ask the director, but go to Bilsak 5. kat. I heard that there are some. Okay, I went in Istanbul to Cihangir. I went to this cafe, Bilsak 5. kat, and went up, and I was almost giving up my hope and said, hello, my name is Ipek. I'm from Germany. I'm a lesbian, and I'm looking for lesbians and gays. Do you know any? They said, you are at the right place. I said, wow, and I put out all the books. At the same day, we founded the first group, the first lesbian group in Turkey, Sisters of Bilitis, and all the LGBTs came together. We started to invite them to Germany, that they can talk about their experiences. This was all in the beginning of 90s. This was like 91, 92. Because for me, because it was very important for me to, I love Turkey. Wir machen gerade ein Interview. Die Musik stört nicht, aber dein Geschrei zwischendurch. Nein, 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 nur nicht schreien, aber die Musik ist super. Dankeschön. Danke. And as a person where I see myself as a part of the world, I want to make the surrounding of me open for everything. So for me it was clear that I need in Germany a space where I can be everything who I am. A lesbian, you know, second generation Turkish, left-wing, political active, sexual person, but also in Turkey. When I want to go and live in Turkey, I want to have also this LGBT community in Turkey. So I started to go a lot to Turkey and, you know, try to work. And as I said, I founded the first group in Turkey. And since 8 years, I always go to Turkey to the LGBT Pride and support them by giving workshops or DJing, collecting money for the LGBT Pride there. In Berlin, what we did is, after this, after 2.5 years regularly meeting, I started to write my master thesis about being a Turkish and being a lesbian. Is it a paradoxy? How can it work? So I made interviews with second-generation Turkish lesbians, second-generation lesbians from Turkey based in Germany. I say from Turkey because Turkey is a multicultural country, so you cannot always talk about Turkish people. And so I wrote also my thesis about that. And I also founded another group called GLAD, Gays and Lesbians in Germany, where we have been also, or we are still very active. And I do many, many other things. I actually, after a young man committed suicide because he was not accepted by his family, we also founded this group, AMUSO, Arbeitskreis Migranten unterschiedlicher sexueller Orientierung. And we came like to the agreement that we should stop the racist, prejudiced behavior by the German associations, but at the same time we have to find peer groups and we have to build up peer groups. I would like to tell you how I started actually to DJ. I was, as a young lesbian, always going out in clubs. One night, it was I think a Thursday, the promoter of the club SO36 came up to me, Richard, and asked me, "Are you a lesbian?" "Yes, I am." "Are you Turkish?" "Yes, I am." "Oh, can't you please DJ for our first queer oriental party in SO36? That was 94. I said, "Well, I've never done it." "Never mind, come and DJ." "Yeah, but I don't even have CDs." "Never mind, come and DJ." I said, okay, because during that time I was always going to the DJs and giving them tapes and you know, begging them, please play one of our songs so we can dance, you know, make all those Turkish kitschy belly dance stuff. And the DJ was like, I don't know if it fits, I don't know, okay, maybe yes. And we were like, why are we so, because if you go to the Turkish club, you are not welcome as a lesbian. And if you go to a German club, you cannot listen really to your own music. Somehow you always have to leave one part of your identity out of the door. And the way how we communicate with each other is also different. So we were like, somehow it feels like excluding from the both sides. And when Richard Stein, this club person, asked me, would you like to DJ? I was like, okay, it's a big honor to me. So I prepared myself. I took some cassettes from my mother, some music from friends, and I put my hijab on and went. The DJ said, okay, you make this and this and this and this and this, and then you push the button. I said, okay. Me, in my hijab on, I started to DJ, and I played like Turkish, Arabic, belly dance stuff, klezmer, rice stuff. People danced till 8 o'clock. The DJ came, well, okay, you managed to do it without me, so I go. And the new star was born, and people realized that, oh, okay, there's a lesbian Turkish girl who does non-American music. She does, you know, all those migrant music. So I was asked to support immigrant associations. I was asked to support lesbian associations or LGBT associations as a DJ. And I realized, okay, this DJing thing raises up also the consciousness, okay, there are people who has a different cultural descent, but they are existing. And this music makes them to come. So at the 1998, the Gay Hani Party was founded, which is a gay oriental, homo-oriental party where to 80% you play all those traditional Turkish, Kurdish, Arab, Greek rice stuff, and just a little bit English, but also lots of electronic stuff. When I started there, it was like, okay, that's our community. this makes people to come out much easier because you are not anymore a needle in a Heuhaufen. How do you say Heuhaufen?
You're not a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, because there you realize you are not anymore a needle in a haystack. You don't have to look anymore. They are all coming because they miss this music, they miss the kind of dancing, they miss that kind of partying. At the same time, many groups are founded, like Eremis, which is a Greek LGBT group, Türkiye from LSVD, they founded in Köln. They realize because there are people, there are minority, which is actually a huge number of people, who are different than the dominant culture. And there also subcultures started to develop themselves. So many people started to come, even they were living outside of Berlin, just for this party, not to feel themselves alone. Just to party because they realized, okay, I can be a faggot here, I can be a transsexual and Turkish, I can be a transsexual and Bulgarian, I can be deaf and Turkish or Kurdish, I can be bisexual and Arab. Everyone is welcome. Also many straight people comes to the Gayhane party. This party still exists, and this party is still one of the most important parties. At the same time, when Gayhane was starting, became successful, also SO36 and other people from the Oranienstraße, from the area, decided, okay, why don't we do the Transgeniale CSD? We have two gay prides in Berlin. One is the bigger, the commercial one. Almost 500,000 to 1 million people are attending. And the Transgeniale. Danke. And the Transgeniale CSD is like 5 to 10,000 people. It takes place in Kreuzberg. It's much more left-wing and much more anarchic and much more political. And there you hear Turkish, Kurdish, Arabic, Rai, klezmer, Balkan music, and you know, okay, there are people, they are dancing to it. So you see people, you know, mother with a veiled mother, dancing with a 16-year-old Arab boy, and then the transsexual, and the transgender person, and the lesbian, and the gay, and everyone is dancing with each other. It's a huge thing, and people don't even mind that in this moment. And this is a really nice feeling that you have the feeling, okay, for one night when Gayhane happens or this Transgeniale CSD happens, the world is free of prejudices. And you can be everything what you are. Me as a Ipek, I feel myself responsible what happens in the world, responsible what happens around me. I don't see myself as an individual only. I'm a part of this community. I used to have my very radical feminist time where I was not talking to men, where I didn't even let men come into my flat. So I used to live in a man-free surrounding. I was a very radical feminist, lesbian. I didn't even talk to the bisexuals because I was like, okay, they're just profiting from the system. They don't want to decide themselves. It was a very important time. I had also my coming out as an immigrant. It was a very important time, which I don't want to miss it. It supported a lot my being, my position in the society, but it was also ghettoizing me. And this is not enough for me because I want to have the whole world. And I think that everyone in this world has a responsibility to do something good for the world. So for me, as I'm also a studied social worker, I work with young male people, or how do you say Jugendliche? Youngsters, with male youngsters. And I'm always an open lesbian because it's also about giving role models, positive role models. It's also giving them the hand because of course they will be anti, because they didn't maybe learn how to define themselves as a person. They learned themselves to define themselves as a man or a woman with their culture or religious background. And I think it's one of my duties to show them, hey, there are alternatives. There are other people who are living different than you, and they are good. It's okay so. And I want to also make my surrounding more livable. So I want to change my surrounding. I want to make the people more open. And if someone tells me like, oh, look, this is a lesbian. Yes, I'm a lesbian. He didn't say anything wrong. He said, look at this lesbian. Yes, I'm a lesbian. Congratulations to you. You won 100 points and you are straight, right? So then I have a discussion with this guy. And I'm sure 99% he will laugh about that because I reacted to him, and you're straight? Cool. So, and when a guy tells me like, hey, you are a lesbian, this is disgusting. So then I can ask him, why, you don't like men? You don't like women, so you are a man? You are gay? No, I'm not gay. This is even more disgusting. Why shall I love something what you think it's disgusting? It's total another thinking for him. He never thought about that, that a woman might think a man is disgusting. So that's the way how I work pedagogical. Now I start to work more and more with youngsters in a pedagogical way. And it's also my own behavior. Yes, I'm a lesbian, so what? I think it makes much more impression by the people if you're much more calm. Well, this is how I experienced, and yeah. I actually, and if someone insists me to ask, are you together with boys or with men? And then after a while, I might say, you know what? I like you so much that I would like to be very open with you. And I would like to tell you that I'm into girls. So that's also knowledge where they can deal with, because it's not like I'm a lesbian and put them into their face. What I did, for example, when I was in Istanbul, I'm very often there. In Istanbul, there are two prides. There's one pride which is called Trans Pride, which is mainly organized by the transgenders and transsexuals in Turkey. We have in Istanbul 5,000 transsexuals, which is a huge number. And they are very politically active and conscious. And there's the second pride, which is the LGBT pride. And I decided to put a flag out of my flat, which is in Kasımpaşa. Kasımpaşa is a very conservative area where the current Prime Minister Erdogan is coming from. So it's that conservative area. So I put out this flag. And then I was not, after a few days, I was talking to my neighbors, and one of my neighbors said, Ipek, I would like to ask you to take off this flag. I said, why? You know, I don't want you to get hurt by the people because they cannot deal. I asked her what happened. She said, you know, people were wondering what kind of a flag that is. So is it a Greece? Is it an Israeli? Is it an Armenian flag? They took a picture and looked for it at the computer, at the internet. And they found out it's a flag for LGBTs. So some people cannot deal with that. I said, wow, they really know how to get along with internet. And you know what? I like this idea very much because now they have a knowledge. And they know that a lesbian is living here. It's a good thing. And people who don't like that I'm a lesbian, they don't need to talk to me, so I don't have to tell them that I'm a lesbian. So they're already gone. And those who knows that I'm a lesbian nevertheless talks to me, so I don't have to come out. They already know about me, which is a good thing. And the other thing, there are enough lesbians and gays and transsexuals and transgenders who are killing themselves, committing suicide, or they are hurt by their families or surrounding. They shall see that here is a living someone lesbian. This is a sign for everyone else who is suffering here. And I want to see that also lesbians and gays are living in Kasımpaşa. I'm not the only one. So, somehow, yes, it's important. It's important that you, if you have the possibility to be open, it's important that you to look at the people not as your enemies, more to see at them as a part of your community you have to live with, and give them your hand. Shake hands. While I was so struggling with my spider net in my head like this, I realized that some people were much further than I was. My grandfather, he was always 6 meters tall, 3 meters bright, and he was such a despot. He was always a screaming, very conservative guy. I was so scared of him. But then, it was 94, I had my first girlfriend, and I wanted to show her my country, Turkey. So let's go and make, travel. When I arrived at my grandparents' place, my grandparents are conservative ones, Republicans. My grandfather was like 76 and my grandmother was like 70. We just arrived in this summer house. My grandmother asked, okay, Ipek, in which room do you want to stay? In which room your friend should stay? They didn't know that she was my girlfriend. I said, well, I think we should stay upstairs at the French bedroom. French bed means double bed, king size. My grandmother said, you can't possibly stay together in one room. My grandfather looked at me and said, I'm sure they can stay in one room. I looked at my grandfather and he was smiling. I was like, oha. And at the evening, my grandfather said, so Ipek, now you are studying. What do you study? Social work. What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I heard you have a car. I said, yes, I have a car. But for what reason do you need as a student a car? Do you hook up with girls or boys? I never thought the way this guy asked me if I'm a lesbian or gay, that way. For what reason do you need as a student a car? Do you hook up with girls or boys? I was like, this kind of a question deserves a real, honest answer. And I was like, girls? Because I was scared of him. And he said, Ipek, I heard in Germany, girls marry girls. And in England, man marries man. Listen, this happened in 1994. I was so surprised that my grandfather was obviously very into this topic and he wanted to know. Because he said, you know what, Ipek, I don't know nothing about this. So please tell me, is it true? Do they marry each other? And I told him the whole story. I even gave him the book what I wrote in Turkish and German about this Ayşe is in love with Anya. And then he started to ask me even more questions. After 2 weeks, when we were leaving the place, my grandfather said, Ipek, we need to talk. I said, okay. Look, listen. Girls who are in love with girls, they're called lesbians, right? I was like, yeah. Women who are in love with women, they're also called lesbians, right? I said, yeah, they're also called lesbians. I was still scared of him because he was my grandfather. He said, you also make love with each other. I said, yes. Then he said, you know what, Ipek? It doesn't fit to our culture. It doesn't fit to our beliefs and to our religion. But you're our grandchild and we love you. Now we have a huge scene. I mean, not a very huge scene in Turkey though. Now we have, I could go again down, then we can make this picture. You know, cutting the picture how I went down straight ahead so that because I found my way around. Like,
mach, was immer du möchtest. Die Kamera läuft.
Now the spider doesn't affect me anymore.
We finished already.
Yes.
Already is.
Good job, thanks.
Wie lang ist der Clip, ne?
Good job.
Also wahrscheinlich nicht so lang, oder?
Viertelstunde.
Viertelstunde?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And also, for example, a young Turkish guy standing in front of me saying, we don't have any lesbians and gays. I said, why? In front of you I'm standing. I'm a Turkish lesbian. You tell me I'm not Turkish enough because I'm a lesbian? My Turkish is much better than you. My Turkey knowledge is much better than you. I know all the 5 rules of the Islam. Whatever, I know much more than you do about Turkey. Who are you? You are telling me. And being a lesbian or gay is not connected to the religion. It makes you just lighter or harder to live it out. It depends on the country where you come from. So in Beirut you have a huge LGBT community. In Turkey you have also LGBT community. Of course, it's not that big as in Europe. In Germany you have a huge LGBT community because there are the laws. You get even funding. In Turkey you wouldn't get any fundings. So, and there are much more prejudices. You need time and you need financial possibilities. You need people to break down those prejudices. You need to speak to those people who are having prejudices. You cannot just say, oh, you are homophobe and I don't speak with you and make my own small world. I don't want to live in a small world. I want to live in a big world. I don't want to be ghettoized. And I don't want to do only music for the LGBTs. It's boring. I want to have this heterogeneous world.
It can be 4 hours and hours.
Yeah.
The fact that you were ignoring men. You were doing your own ghettos.
I've been living since the early 90s, and they were older generation, the generation before me, fighting a lot that we can live that free today. What I realized with the young generation, especially in West Europe, is that their consciousness about every given right can be taken also by the government back. So yes, today we are free, we have our parties, we have our sex parties, we can choose if we want to go to a pub, to a house, to a techno party, if you want to go to the bad taste party. We can choose if you want to go to this counseling or to this cafe, to this restaurant, because we have so much. But this can be different tomorrow. It can be taken, and the world is getting more conservative. Look at Putin. Look to India, who just invented new law against LGBTs. What happens in Denmark with their conservative, okay, they're not homophobic laws, but nevertheless, it's getting conservative. Also, Germany is getting conservative. We should not forget that we should still fight at least to keep those rights and not just consume it. Because what we do is, I show you, people 50 years ago, they started to raise up a little tree, putting water, 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 water. Now it came up. It's such a richness that we can now take up the apples and eat it. But we have to still put the water in it. We have to take care of them. And please don't forget, you're part of the society, and if you want that the society is still free and democratic, you have to fight for that. You have to try to keep it and just not only consuming. Thank you.
If we go, we have to stop there.